Conditions have been harsh since the previous week's historic blizzard. Several animals were found dead, including the remains of this screech owl. Most likely, it starved to death. Starvation was also likely the cause of the fate of this deer, but at least some coyotes found some sustenance from their misfortune. The beavers are unfazed by the weather, though. They spent the entire fall building up a food cache to prepare for this sort of event. We do supplement their diet to entice them to stay, but they still have the luxury of being picky.
Which one do you want? You want a sweet potato? A carrot?
I guess she'll go elsewhere for her meal. Even the muskrats are holding out on the apples in hopes for the more desirable carrots. After about a week, it warmed up some and started raining. Plants started popping up through the snow. And then we got even more rain. And although the creeks are running high, there's no flood damage that I'm aware of. And the snow now has almost completely melted. Since it's warmed up, things have been a lot more lively around here. We've had great blue herons and waterfowl stopping at our beaver ponds. And certainly the deer must be happy now, since they have easy access to grazing. This one, however, looks a little nervous, perfectly stunned. He even quit chewing the big chunk of cud in the side of his left cheek. Needless to say, he won the staring contest. I found something interesting about 8 feet up in a willow tree. Fox scat covering the tree branch. And loads of it. Apparently, the fox has been frequenting this tree for quite some time. We continued with our nest box cleaning. The target species are bluebirds, and some use the nest. But many other species also use the nest, such as this house wren. And house wrens are well known for often leaving an infertile egg behind. Plenty of tree swallows also use the nest boxes. Their nests are easily recognizable because they extravagantly decorate with the feathers of other species. This nest held the remains of an egg that did appear to actually hatch. And although most nests appeared to be successful, we did find one abandoned tree swallow nest. Often, after the birds are done with the nest boxes, mice take over. Mice use a variety of building materials, but almost always they're soft. And sometimes they'll just use an old nest as a food cache. And this nest box we put up in hopes of getting an American kestrel has not been used yet, but it looks like a red squirrel is considering it. Beavers are often considered keystone species. This is because they create such great habitat. Not only do they create ponds and wetlands, but the lodges that they build are utilized by muskrats and voles, such as this meadow vole. This meadow vole enjoys the seed that we're putting out, but seems to be ambivalent to our presence. The chickadee, however, seems to bother it. Perhaps we somewhat resemble beavers to it. Big mammals that move about slowly, not bothering it. The chickadee, however, moves about pretty quickly, and perhaps they've even scuffled over the food before. However, they mostly share the bounty. This one seems so comfortable around us, it doesn't even bother running off with its food. It enjoys its meal right there in front of us. Perhaps this one is particularly brazen compared to other members of its species. In fact, there was a smaller one in the same time period that was much more skittish. We were fortunate to observe such a casual individual so closely, in which we could see some fine detail. Notice the robust body with the small ears and the large claws used for digging. If there aren't safe, brushy passages for them to travel, they can dig their own tunnels, and they also can dig their own burrows. And since they were active throughout the winter, they also dig tunnels through the snow. Voles in general are prolific breeders and are well known for their dramatic cycles of population fluctuations. In downtown Utica, there's been a lot of excitement with the peregrine falcons. We've noticed a kestrel lingering around in the territory, which doesn't seem to bother them. A little more upsetting, however, is that there's been at least 3 other falcon intruders. We have been keeping a close eye on them as they watch over their territory. They are doing a good job in maintaining and protecting their territory and keeping their bond strong. I even witnessed a couple of matings. And staying true to the male stereotype, Aries was quick and flew on over for a post-breeding snack. Right now, I can't quite tell what he's eating. Perhaps a pigeon? They do eat a lot of pigeons, especially through the winter months. Lately, however, with all the birds migrating north, they've been dining on more delicacies. For the past few weeks, woodcocks seem to be a favorite. I spent a couple of my days off this week in Mexico, New York, which is on the shores of Lake Ontario. There's a lot of great marshy habitat there, with interesting waterfowl, but this is not the reason I went. I went because it is a major flyway for migratory raptors. Right now, thousands of turkey vultures are passing through on a daily basis. And not only that, but there's other raptors mixed in with them. With a trained eye, you can easily spot red-shouldered hawks right now. There have been several days where over 100 have been counted. Red-shouldered hawks are closely related to red-tailed hawks, and it's easy to see the physical resemblance. Broad wings with a relatively short, broad tail. If the lighting's right, though, they can be easily distinguished by the white crescents in the wingtip and the striped tail, and of course, the red shoulders they're named for. Also, red shoulders tend to flap a lot more between glides than do red tails. Historically, they were more common than red tails in New York, but that has changed due to the change in habitat. Red tails prefer open fields, whereas the red shoulders prefer contiguous woodlands. One morning, the fog got too heavy to see any raptors, so I went around the corner to Oswego Harbor to check out the waterfowl. Oswego is the same place we put up the falcon nest box a week or two prior to this. As of right now, they still haven't used it. There were loads of waterfowl there, though, representing at least half a dozen species. Although various duck species do utilize the same habitat, they tend to stick to groups of their own kind. This is a group of redheads. The males have the striking redhead they're named for, but the females are mostly a tawny brown. That's a female getting feisty with the male. It seems as if though he's making unwanted advances. Here is a pair of buffleheads. The one on the left is a female, and this one right here is a male. Buffleheads are one of the smallest ducks around. They are relatively common here throughout the migration period. However, most of them spend the winter along the coasts and the summer in their breeding grounds in western Canada and Alaska. And here are two separate species of scats. They are difficult to distinguish one from the other, but if you look closely at the one in front, the pointed head and slightly thinner bill indicates it's a lesser scat. The rounded heads and slightly thicker bills of the others indicate they're greater scats. And here we have some white-winged scoters. It appears the one in front is a female, the one in the back is an adult male, and the one right in the middle is an immature male. These are quite large diving ducks, often associated with coastal areas. However, since the introduction of zebra mussels into Lake Ontario, they are said to have become more common here. And that's all until next time.